Welcome to my humble little office. My name is R. Keith Andrews. I'm a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. The journey continues today on March 30th, 2025 at approximately 8:51 p.m. PST. Now, I've made it my life's journey to remind us and to remind everyone that working together we can make this a better world for virtually everybody. I bill myself as a spiritual guide because the tools I offer are the exact same tools that I personally use in my day to day life. And the philosophies of life I talk about are the exact same philosophies that I utilize to gauge virtually every decision I make. Now, with this in mind, I know these tools will work for you because they continue to work for me and have literally worked for thousands of other people over the years with varying degrees of success depending on their own personal efforts. Now, before we get into it, Storm is in the background. He's the one making certain everything is up and running. Okay. Now, do understand, he keeps tech running and makes sure problem children don't stick around. Okay, even if they're, if you've been a problem child before and you come in and you're not creating a problem, no problem. But if you think changing your name is going to protect you, rest assured, Storm's not going to do that. Okay, Storm won't let that happen. That is not because Storm's a problem. That's because Storm is doing exactly what I asked. Okay, he's removing the problem children before I have a problem. Now, we have LA Moon in the house. Okay, and she is our primary moderator on site. She keeps the conversation going quite regularly, quite well, and keeps a real close eye on my own health, as some of you have seen. She'll spot when my blood sugar goes offline. I don't have a way of gauging it at home. That's irrelevant for the moment. But before we get into this, now tonight we are going. What I've decided, what we've decided, I don't know how you want to look at it, but every Sunday we are going to be looking at a different race, a different technology. We are going into the alien side of things. Tonight we are going to look at the GREYS. Who are they? What are they? Now, the neat little part of this, okay, is we're also going to cover what they're not. But to start with, we have, now I see Nathan is in the show. Nathan is another one of our moderators. He is usually working. I don't know. I think he might be a workaholic. Seems to run in the group. I know I'm in the middle of writing. I think I've got 30, what is it? 20, I think I've got 39 books on my desktop that I'm working on. And you guessed it, one of those is Meet the Reticulans. See, the GREYS are actually referred to as, or actually their actual name is, the ones that you guys know are the Zeta Reticulans. Now, before I go any further down that road, Operation Shutdown, you are in with the gold. Yeah, Nathan goes, yep, workaholic, I guess so. Apparently I didn't retire, but I am now officially retired. The contract I used to have collapsed after 16 and a half years. The company closed. And then we have the other issue. I am now generating an income with my books. And with that in mind, now you're going to love this. Okay. I have a little booklet coming out. Okay. It's going to be this size. Okay. I've got a whole series of them coming out titled Meet Thee. In this case, it'll be Meet the Reticulans. That's who we're talking about today. Now, I've actually got the booklet up. It is not complete, but the Zeta Reticulans are quite seriously, that's the scientist. Okay, that's the one that so many people know. Now, like humans, Zeta Reticulan basically boils down to their version of human. There's all kinds of races. Okay. And in all fairness, it's reticulans, and then you've got the zeta. Now, let me see here. How about if we take that and pop that to there? Oh, that won't work. Okay. Can I read anything here? Probably not. Just getting that up where I can read questions and what have you to come in. Now, okay. There we are. Dave, how we doing? Yeah, they've been cut back a long way. I appreciate that, Dave. I went and got my hair cut about a month ago. I told the guy to trim the sideburns. Well, he took them off. Not happy. But it is nice to see you here. Now, the nice part about it, okay, when we look at the reticulans have multiple races. Now, I know of at least 15 different races. Okay, and we're going to cover some of those. I've actually got a booklet out. Like I said, it's this size. Okay, but when it comes out, it'll be available in the physical form and in PDF. We've managed to get that all sorted out when they're ready to go. Now, before I get into it, let us see here. Let me pull up this one. Now, zeta reticulans, aka what you know as the GREYS, they are the scientists. Now, they are not the ones that decide what they're working on. The zeta reticulan D are the controllers. Okay, and that's another race. Okay, but understand race inside species. Okay, zetas, most of them, like they're all scientists. Most are just there for scientific research. It's the zetas. Oh, there we are. Nathan goes, I'm going to have the Archies and Encyclopedia Galactus. Encyclopedia Galactus. Now, I am working, I've got all the pictures from Races of the Worlds now. Now we go into full throttle to get them expanded completely and get that dang book out. I just about said the wrong thing. Okay. But I am pushing to complete that. I've now got all the pictures together. The reticulans are the scientists. They're the ones that designed and almost perfected, the hybridization program. Okay. Now, that's first and foremost. Okay, but understand the majority of them are straight scientists. You've got, and I'm not sure the percentages really, but you've got, let's just call it 10% that are strictly motivated by money. Okay, they will sell to the highest bidder. These are the ones that are really dangerous when you get a hold of them because they will experiment just in order to make a buck. Then you've got the other end of the scale that are there and will literally come in, collect you up and go, oh, we got to fix this. Okay, oh, you're a mess. Let's fix you. They're the same kind of people. Okay. These are the same zeta reticulans that will go in. They'll catch a bird like a human would catch a bird with a broken wing. They set the wing and nurse them back to health and release them. About 10% of the zetas will do that. They'll find a human that's damaged, collect them up, repair it. Okay, I was the beneficiary of one of these groups. Okay. It took me a while to figure out who the heck put my arm back together. Because when I was younger, if I put my hand out, palm up, and I went to touch my elbow, I kid you not, I could not reach my elbow because my hand would end up over here, which is about 4 inches outside of the shoulder. One day I woke up, it was put back together. Okay. Now, the neat part of this is where the catch comes. People keep telling me, keep asking me, why don't these guys, if they're so interested in us, why don't they come and correct the problem? Well, the sad part of that is that there's a very small percentage that will do that. Because understand, they are breaking protocol to go in and fix you. The scientific directive is study the natural environment. Do not interfere. But as with every species, you get some people that don't listen too well. Now that's why they don't just categorically come in and go, oh, look, you guys have these problems. Understand something very critical. Okay. I tell people, and I made this mistake, okay, quite frankly, but get this. The newest versions of cancer, okay, the Zetas gave the information to the moguls, to the governments. They decided they could make money off it. Net result, we still have cancer all over the place. But something we got to realize. I stumbled across this little piece of information a while ago. Okay, they found active cancer cells in dinosaurs from the Devonian era, meaning cancer is not a current illness. Okay, now let me open up this little book. Now, this little booklet called Meet the okay, it will have the normal information that you'll find in Races of the World. But here we go. You have your Zeta Reticulans are your scientists. They specialize in the hybridization program and various connected health-related ones. Then we have Reta Reticulans. And by the way, now you already know the Zetas look like they've got an inverted teardrop for a head. Kind of a conic shape that comes down to a point. Okay, that's the Zetas. Okay, when you see the Reta Reticulan, their skulls are a little bit more rectangular, a little more squared, maybe a little longer as far as that goes. Okay, but it's a squared off skull. They are a little longer in the chest area as well. Okay, these are the people that specialize in agriculture. So you can well imagine the Zeta Reticulans bring a Reta with them when they're coming down to grab soil samples and what have you. Okay, but the Retas don't deal well with people. They deal great with the plants. Not good with the animals, not good with the people. Okay, they're very, very much involved with, oh, you stepped on a blade of grass. Now you should be hung, drawn, and quartered because you weren't careful. Now, stepping on it is no problem. Stepping on it and grinding your foot, that's a problem. And the Reta Reticulans may take offense to it. Okay. Now, I've got names for you. I haven't got all of the information yet. Okay. Matter of fact, I'm looking at my list here. And right off the bat, I'm not looking at the zoologists. But you have your data reticulans. The data reticulans, they are the architects. Okay, and I'm talking about land-based architects. They're the ones that build the buildings these guys live in. And they are very adept at building them with security systems all over the place. Because understand the world they come from, this is not a healthy thing. Okay, it's not safe to go play in the woods. Now, these are obviously not done in alphabetical order. Although when I put them into the book, they will be. Okay, but now let me just get that out of the way for a second because I want to make sure. Just trying to keep an eye out and make sure that if a question is asked, and by all means do ask. Okay, if you've got a question, put it in the chat room in all caps. Now, brilliant idea here. Let's move this one over to the other side. Okay. Oh, that didn't help any anyway. Yeah, brain's working like a sieve. There we go. Now I got it all up and running. See, I told you, technology is annoying for me on occasion, but in any event, oh, and by the way, just to be clear, okay, if you go up to the Buy Me a Coffee link at the top of the stream, that's www.buymeacoffee.com/innervoicej. You'll find all of the books, you'll find the link to contact me regarding consultations. Okay, now, as with every one of the known species, they have they've got their spiritual guides. Well, when you look at the reticulans, you're actually looking at the Zentoran. Okay, now the Zentoran are their spiritual guides. They're the ones that say, this is what our God believes. This is what our God is telling you. And rest assured, the Zentoran's God, the reticulan God, does not brook the idea of, let's go pick a fight. These guys don't see the purpose to it. And their God certainly didn't. But the Zentoran are the people that are absolutely active on the idea of spiritual guidance. Okay, then we come down to your beta reticulans. They're the teachers. They cover every field. Okay, and what I mean by that is beta reticulans are gifted at articulating bizarre concepts and the new concepts, putting it all together. The betas are the ones that teach everybody else. Okay, and I've just been told this is not quite accurate. It's a beta reticulan D that are the teachers of everybody. Your beta reticulans are the individual teachers. The D are the ones that teach everybody, teach the teachers how to teach, is the best way to put it. What did I do with my book? Just let's start up with what did I do with a drunken sailor? Well, it's a whole lot of things to do with that. And that can go really odd. Oh, that's the easy part of the operation. The Zeta Reticulan D. They're the ones I've had the most contact with. Well, no, correction. They're the ones I have the most consultations with. I have the most contact with the Zeta Reticulans. Okay, with the scientists. Because the hybridization program for me was absolutely a critical issue. Pen. Where am I here? Beta. Like I said, I write down things as it comes to me. Now, that's who I've had the most contact with. But, and I like these guys. These guys are drier than heck. Okay, no sense of ha. If you think on Earth, if you think the people at the airport security and the border crossings are high stressed or are picky, you've never met. Okay, so that tells me something. I was about to give you a wrong name here, so I'm going to have to look it up. The strategists are an interesting one, but the ones you really don't want to deal with are what humans call Secret Service. Okay, and that's the Clang de Docen. Okay, Rachel, how we doing? You are in with the silver. The Clang de Sen are Black Ops. Okay, and rest assured, you don't want to deal with these people. Okay, they've got some, shall we say, interesting. They've got some interesting perspectives. And then you have the Zesis Kluk. Now, the Zesis are literally the military. Okay, I've had a lot of conversations with them. It was actually members of the thesis that I talked to that explained why this ridiculous idea of people, okay, why this absolute ridiculous idea that they were interested in taking Earth. They've got no interest in taking Earth, okay, but they're the ones that laid out how it was going to be done if they had to do it. Okay, and yes, they've had to do it before. Okay, now these are only some. Okay, these are Black Ops. These ones that I'm referring to, most of them I've got right here. Okay, but that I'm aware of, there are 15 at least different races of reticulans. Okay, all of them are an interesting batch in all fairness. Now, do I have anybody else here? Whole pile of information coming up. But the reticulans, they've got an, now, you got to remember, number one, let's eliminate a couple of things. No, the reticulans are not dying out. They are not animatronics. Okay, somebody came up with this brilliant idea that reticulans are robots. Not even close. You know, they are not even, they do have some androids they built. Absolutely. But they won't even bother trying to build artificial. Okay. You see, the nice part about it is the nice part about it is your ratas on the rated D are so much more interested in cultivating actual intelligence. They won't play with artificial. Okay. And the way they put it, why make something fake? If you're going to make something, make it real. Hence why they don't build, why the Zetas don't build a universal translator. They grow them. They raise them and they educate them, which makes them better than any computer program available, in case you hadn't quite figured it out. Okay, but the reticulans come from a planet that is very damp, okay, but also extremely violent. This is why, when you're looking at the reticulans, this is why your data turn around. Okay, the data reticulan build properties, build homes, and buildings that are dang near impenetrable. Okay, now understand from human standpoint, these guys, they live on a planet that is essentially an oversized tropical jungle. Okay, yes, there are pockets of water, but unlike Earth, most of their water is underground. There are little pockets of springs and oases that pop out that are scattered throughout the world, but they don't have these vast oceans. Okay, their oceans. Now get this. The neat part about it, where we have oceans. Okay, some of you know of, on Earth, you know of lily pads, obviously. Great big expanses of masses of plant life that float on top of the water. This is the way that the reticulan's homeworld, on the whole, is. Okay, they've got a massive plant life. Now understand what's under the plant life. I'll get to that as I go along. Okay, don't know if I'll get to that tonight, but they're most of what they walk on has give to it. Okay, but the data, they turn around and stabilize areas where they can put an actual physical building. And the reason for that is when you've got insects capable of picking up a full-grown zeta, and why I'm flying off with it. You don't want to be working out in the open. Okay, you really don't. You just don't when you got a wasp that'll come in, pick up an adult zeta, and fly off. Okay, you don't want to be working out in the open. Okay, that's just the way that is. Okay, now you've got problems in the air, you got problems on the ground, and even a lot of the trees, like a lot of the actual plants themselves, are, I hate to tell you this, don't go to this planet, not necessarily safe. A lot of their trees are, I kid you not, they are carnivorous. Okay, so this is one of those areas where you are kidding me. Okay. This is one of those situations where going to visit their homeworld is great, but you gotta remember, your average zeta, okay, well, in all fairness, the average reticulan is only around about the 40 to 50 pound mark. This is why when they walk on the lily pads, if you will, this is why they'll get their feet wet. But a human at 100 plus is going to sink. This is not going to go well. Poetically mistaken, how you doing? Glad you could join us. You are in. There we are. You are in with the bronze. Oh, sorry about that, Nathan. When I tell people I'm being told something, I literally am being told. Okay, it's not a question of just thinking about it. I literally am getting somebody saying, hey, you're missing something here. You know, that's what that would be. This is why I say sometimes it boils down to just sitting and talking to you guys. You guys ask a question, I end up with new information. But I'm making note of it because of the fact that I've got to get the zeta, the meet the reticulans is the first one of many smaller books, a lot more comprehensive than what will be in the encyclopedias. Okay. With this in mind, okay, now, ow. Oh, that's why. That was to me. I'm looking at this. You've got your beta reticulan, okay, which are your teachers. They are the ones that become your teachers for the civilization. But when you look at the beta reticulan D, they are the ones that work to educate the educators. Oh, there you go. Yeah, Nathan's going, oh, okay. That happens to me too, mainly with Xena and Sabrina, Guide and Tulpa. Now, I'm going to have to ask a question. This just goes completely sideways on you. But I know what a guide is. Well, what, pray tell, is a Tulpa? I think I've heard the name before, or the title before, but I cannot for the life of me remember what it is. Now, just to put this in perspective, when you look at a race name of Zeta Reticulan D or the Beta Reticulan D, you're looking, the D, it literally means, it literally means director. Okay. Some of you would actually call it a dictator because they're the ones that go, this is what you're working on. You know, no sense of haha. Most of the Zetas, most of the Reticulans don't have what you would consider a sense of humor. Although, I will tell you, some of them are hilarious. You just have to be able to look at it from their eyes. Now, the other thing about their homeworld is it is low light. Okay, this is why they can operate so easily on our world. Ah, there we are. Oh, okay. Thank you so much for that clarification. Nathan's just letting us know. Tulpa is an energy being that we create that needs constant input to stay coherent from the creator. That makes sense. Nathan's just clarifying. The tulpa is kind of like the next level imaginary friend, but with a touch of spirit from us. So they're essentially, it seems, they are manifest. Oh, there you go. They're an unseen servant, which, by the way, is a term from D&D, which I could go sideways on with what happened today, but with more sense to do things on their own instead of being told, okay, you're an unseen servant, go get me a drink. No, you're an unseen servant. I want you to make sure the house stays clean. Okay, so tidy it up. Now understand, there's a lot more races that I will be adding to these. These are just the tip of the iceberg. And I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. Like I said, that's amazing. Do I really have that many already? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I've got 9. Now I know there are at least 15. These will all be entered into the new booklet when it comes out. Okay, but as per the way I work, this will be on the meet the whatever. Okay, and there will be a lot more of them. I'm just working on them one step at a time. Oh, nice. Nathan goes, as for Tulpa, she helped me figure out how to do the throttle linkage on my car. Tell ya, I don't have one, I'm certain of it. I couldn't figure out how to get my printer working. You would have loved this one. This total sidetrack. We got 3 computers in the house. 2 of them picked up the new printer. Okay, mine wouldn't. It just wouldn't find it. Yeah, that always makes it convenient, doesn't it, there, Nathan? But the Reticulans are a wonderful group of people. They are not clones. Okay, as a matter of fact, they found out an interesting little problem, and this is why they only use the cloning process in regards to actually altering, repairing, or enhancing things like skin grafts, organ replacement. Instead of a transplant, they grow a new one. Okay, but that's what they work with the cloning for. This idea of cloning an animal, cloning a full person, they don't do it. And there's a lot of reasons for that. Okay, they found hiccups and decided it was way more important to focus on and essentially perfect the idea of the hybridization program to grow interspecies translators. Okay, but you got to remember, they put 2 together. They hybridize 2 different races. Now they use humans primarily because humans adapt far better. Okay, humans are easier to repair. They reproduce almost as well. They reproduce not quite as well as the econ do. We'll get to the econ at a later date. Okay, but humans are very fragile, very easy to replicate, very easy to repair. This is why they utilize DNA from humans to try to grow the universal translators, the hybrids. Okay, now with this in mind, if you take a look, and that's where the problem was. There, you're the cling to Zen. Okay, the cling to Zen. are literally, they are your black ops. The Clang D are the strategists, and they're the ones that authorize the black ops. They're the ones that authorize the Clang to take out problem children, but understand that is in their world. These are not intercontinental or they are not galactic consortium bounty hunters. The Klingdazen work on their home planet. They work there amongst their own species. And rest assured, the only time they go off-world, the Klingdazen, if they have to go off-world to solve a problem of theirs, they will notify the proper authorities on whatever planet that they're there to deal with their people, not the planet's people. They're there to deal with the reticulans. Okay, and they are not what I would consider subtle, although they are very good at minimizing collateral damage. Quite frankly, you very seldom hear of collateral damage unless you count blood spatter. Okay. There will be, when we talk about property damage, I'm talking about there might be a little bit of blood. And I mean a little. We're not talking about hitting them with a disruptor. Okay. We're talking about taking them out quietly and removing the bodies. So what you might end up with is a little bit of a disturbance, and that's pretty much where they go. Okay, now I don't know if I'm going to be able to get a picture of all of them, but I will tell you, when the booklet comes out, this is something I've already figured out. The picture that you've seen in Races of the World, hold that thought, you haven't seen it yet. The picture that's going to be in the second edition of Races of the World will be the same one on the front cover of the Reticulans. Okay, and absolutely, guys, because it helps immensely. If you've got questions, absolutely drop me a line. It helps me pull things together. Because I'm telling you, with the amount of information I'm sitting on, I end up overlooking things. Okay, but I finally got my head on straight, and now things start to fall into place. Okay. Oh, minor sidetrack. In my eyes, I'm finally making money on the sale of my books, meaning I'm actually starting into my third career. As in, I started my first career as a hospitality in the hospitality industry. Then I went into psychic consulting. Now I can actually look at it and go, now I'm a published and paid author. Okay, but the questions you ask really help bring to bear the information I require. Okay, that I'm looking to make sure doesn't get lost. Now, I gotta see. Oh, very short book right now. There's a lot to add to it. Okay, but it is the first one I'm aiming at capping off. Susan Ahern, how you doing? You are in with honorable mention. Glad you could join us. I'm quite honestly, if you hadn't noticed, quite honestly happy that, which is a weird thing for me, that I finally got a handle on which direction I'm going. Okay, and I'll tell you, you guys have been phenomenal with that. Now, the reticulans, okay, when you look at the hybridization program, this is strictly done by the Zetas. Okay, they are the ones that work on that particular program and many other health-related ones. Their scientific research is done by the Zetas. Even the Reta Reticulans, okay, who are the ones that specialize in agriculture, they are the ones, the Reta Reticulans are not scientists. They do not do agricultural evolution. They do not work on the hybridization or on growth enhancement, any of that. They simply go to the Zetas and go, this is the problem we're running into. We require a solution. What can you do? Here's what we know. Now you figure out how to get what we don't know. Okay. They've got a very okay. They've got the very simple task of going, we ran into a problem. We've studied this. We don't understand this. Can you figure it out? Okay. Can you figure out how to replicate this growth pattern? Because I will tell you, one of the biggest challenges that the betas run into is when you go to grow culture and when you go to grow crops, and there's a high probability that those crops, you grow crops to eat. And the betas found something really neat on their world. Okay, let's grow let's grow what amounts to corn on the cob. This is great. We're going to grow corn. And then we're going to find out that these guys defend themselves. When you're trying to pick them, the corn will beat you to a pulp. Okay, using the cobs. So what the Raiders did was they went to the Zetas and went, look, we got to find a way to knock these guys out so we can harvest. Now understand, they are not flesh and blood. Okay, now the reticulans, by the way, are sort of, I guess the best way to look at it is they are essentially an amphibious reptile. They are a reptilian, okay, but they are far more amphibious, except the fact that they can't exactly, they're not amphibious, they're aquatic. Okay, some of them. So we've got a situation here when you're looking to try and classify reptilians. Understand, a zeta reptilian, a zeta, the zeta reticulans, or for that matter, the reticulans in general, are literally they are literally a form of reptile. Okay. Now I've had to look at the reptilians and go, okay, we've got all, and I do have another booklet separating these, by the way. Okay. When you look at the reticulans, they are reptilian. Okay. But many reptilians are amphibious. I only in a manner of speaking poetically. If you're asking, do they have teeth? The answer is no. But that particular strain will beat you to a pulp, and then literally they will take the nutrition out of the blood at the base of their stalk. Not exactly an enjoyable thing for the reticulans. Okay, so you are looking at a dangerous plant. You think it's bad in our wilderness? Up north here, you've got grizzly bears, you got polar bears, wolverines, you got moose, all kinds of things in the far north of the earth. Okay, in the reticulans homeworld. Okay, you're looking at plants that will beat you to a pulp and then simply absorb the nutrients. Now on Earth, if somebody dies out in the woods, the plants move in. But the plants don't deliberately kill you. The reality of it is they don't actually, the plants on Earth don't deliberately try and kill you. When you go to their homeworld, they've got Venus flytraps that will take out a reticulan. Just, okay, now he's trapped, now I'm just going to slowly dissolve it. Okay, but these little plants, I can list off a few on Earth. There are equivalents, okay, on their homeworld. And before you go asking, I haven't gotten a straight translatable answer. Okay, cannot give you the name of their homeworld just yet, but I'm hoping to get it before I get finished. Ouch. I never even thought about that. I forget who the author was, but LA goes, that's the children of the corn beating up on me. There was a book written, I forget who the author was, and somebody there is going to know. That was called The Children of the Corn. In this case, it's literally the corn itself. Okay? And let's face it, when you get the actual corn, when you get the corn that is willing to beat you to death, think what will happen with the walking trees. On Earth, we have them, by the way. We actually have arboreans on Earth. Oh, there we go. LA's just letting us know it was Stephen King that wrote Children of the Corn. So thank you very much for that. It's not that I'm not a Stephen King fan, except for the fact that I am a firm believer when people say, you can't make money as an author. I'll tell you, people like Stephen King and McCaffrey, and there are so many more. Piers Anthony is another old one. And of course, we got people like Isaac Asimov. Or, oh, what a weird idea, William Shakespeare. Okay, these are people that wrote in various different forms. Well, that wouldn't be a surprise there, poetically. Poetically is just saying a friend told me that his stories were inspired through dreams. Now, I have some phenomenal dreams that you just don't want to know about. It's really bad in my case. Blue Cruise, how we doing? In my case, it was really, really kind of a neat setup. I wake up after a dream where I'm looking at a body count. I feel more relaxed than if I wake up with a dream where it is literally, you're looking at bunnies hopping all over the place. Okay, now, I am looking at a whole pile of different options. Now that I've started to actually generate an income, albeit a small one right now. Okay, but get this. Okay, now, Races of the World, I still am a firm believer that the physical books are a better setup. Okay, and I do my best to keep all the physical ones in stock, and will continue to do so. When you take a look at it, the reticulans have a wonderful world. Okay, now, just looking at this. Okay. Yeah, oh yes. Forgot to mention, with the reticulans, you guys have seen their saucers. Okay, their saucers and like their ships. And I'm talking the little ones. Okay, they're little ships. Well, little. Usually a 5-man crew. Nope, that's not true. It's usually a 2-man crew, and they've got 6 people on board, 6 or 8 people on board that are your scientists. But here's the thing, the reticulans have discovered that working with the Gedephnei, who you would know as the Nords, is wise. Because when you're abducting, when you're collecting specimens, i.e. from human standpoint, abducting a person, people panic when they see a little short guy with great big bulbous eyes carrying a nasty little tool. Okay, they get panicky. The Gedephnei look human. Now you gotta remember a couple of things about the Gedephnei, and we will get to them later. But they come along with the reticulans so that they can help restrain humans. Reticulans are not strong. Okay, they are not a powerfully built crew. Okay, and no, they are not androids. They have a few automatons that they've built, much like humans, but theirs are a lot more sophisticated. But they are not, they themselves are not cloned individuals. The reticulans, in all fairness, people say they're a dying race. Well, for a dying race, they're doing pretty good on the expansion levels. Okay, now, when we're looking at this, I will have to add to that. Just making a quick note, because I'm going to be adding to this book as soon as I get done here. Now, what do I got? There we are. Just looking to make certain I didn't miss anything here, because I get a little sidetracked on occasion in case you hadn't noticed. But the reticulans have been here, by the way, since before man actually evolved. Now, mind you, this means the reticulans were here after the alpha got here. Okay, they did get here. It's a toss-up, depending on who you talk to, and I'll have to look into it for something more specific, but it doesn't really make a lot of difference. I suspect that the reticulans got here as Earth was first producing its life. Yeah. Well, let's say Susan Ahern goes. Little greys are quiet and sneaky from what I've seen. Well, if you think about it, you're only 2 feet tall in a world where plants eat you. Okay, you don't want to go making a lot of noise. Now, before somebody asks, I'm a firm believer, I cannot prove it, but I'm a firm believer that E.T., as in, E.T. Call Home, was a stylized gray. Okay, in all fairness, by the look of his face, when you start looking at the skeletal configuration, it looks very much like he was likely based on a Raider reticulum. Okay, in all likelihood. Now, I don't know for certain, but I do know that Steven Spielberg has a lot more knowledge going on. Okay, like he's got a lot more knowledge coming in my opinion. I certainly cannot prove it. Okay, but given the information he's got, and many of the science fiction movies you see are actually reminiscent of many of these races. Now, when I look at the reticulans, understand they are a skittish people. Okay, nothing compared to the Parake. Okay, but they try and stay very quiet, very to themselves. They are not socialites. Okay, and they certainly are not interested in hurting people when they pick them up. Okay, the idea is the calmer the individual is that we abduct, the better the cell structure when we pull it out. Okay, so yeah, it's a bit self-serving, but reticulans on the whole are not aggressive unless you talk to either the Zeus Kluk or the Kling de Zen. Okay, either one of those two, not what I would call passive. Okay, they are not the ones that I would be calling real, pacifists. Maybe pacifist, but not pacifist. Okay, but when we take a look at the Zentoren, okay, the Zentoren, those are essentially your spiritual guides. Those are the ones that teach what their God is talking about. Funny part about it is they talk about a God that they worship a God that believes everything is equal, everything has a place. Okay, but he doesn't look for worship. He looks at their God, literally tells them, look, you're on that planet together. That planet was a gift to you. Absolutely. But you're not the only people it was a gift to. So treat all denizens the same, treat them all equally. The reticulans simply got the upper hand and took dominant control of the surface as far as their evolution went. Understand the plant life outweighs it. Okay, outweighs the productivity levels. Plant life is a deadly thing. Now understand, theirs is not the worst planet where it comes to the planet defending itself. Okay, but you'll find out about more of those as we go along. And again, guys, if you've got questions, absolutely ask. Okay, now there are other groups of people that, other races, specialists, that sort of thing. And I will do my best to collect it all. But I'm not stopping when a book comes out. The research doesn't end. Okay, and when I talk about research, I mean I go out and talk to people. I get to connect with them, figure out who they are, what makes them tick. And just like on Earth, even with the number of problems we've got here, everybody on Earth has something good about them. Okay, everybody out there does, and thank you so much for that, LA. We are down to 13 minutes. The reticulans do have a one world government. Okay, but that does not mean a dictatorship, and I cannot stress that enough, I don't think. Well, I think way too often many times. Oh, just noticed, Storm. Hopefully things balanced out for you. I know you had a little bit of stuff that had to be dealt with. And no, I'm not asking you to go into it by any functional stretch. But when we look at the reticulans, understand they are not looking at colonizing Earth or invading Earth. They've got other planets that they can still occupy. And in their case, perfect, glad to hear it. In the reticulans case, they have the technology, and when we take a look at the data, their biggest objective right now is they are currently involved in terraforming. But understand they've got to be picky, because you don't want to go terraforming a Caboran. Understand, every Caboran is a planet, but every planet is not a Caboran. Okay, so the beta reticulans are in the process of developing true terraforming technology. Okay, but they're combining technology with natural evolution. Okay, the natural ebb and flow of energy. Okay, something you got to realize, and I know this is a neat little piece. Can't tell you where I got it, cannot prove it, but Earth right now, mankind, is in the process of a rather ambitious project, but they've got to have been talking to the betas. Okay, they're in the process of working out the technology to move an asteroid into geosynchronous orbit around the moon. Now, there's a lot of side effects that that's going to cause. So I'm hoping that the humans have to be talking to the betas. At least I presume they are, since they talk to the reticulans anyway. Okay, not that they'll tell you that, but the beta reticulans know how to mitigate things to avoid complications. But what they are looking at is terraforming a planet. Much like if you take a look at the movie Alien, okay, that was a wonderful movie. And their shake and bake colonies, okay, are essentially a technological advancement, okay, a method that the beta reticulans don't use. Beta reticulans use natural life force. Okay, and this is one of those things that I'm going to have to get into this book, I suspect. certainly into the one I'm writing on different technologies. Okay, now you will find with many of the booklets I'm writing, there will be an overlap. Okay, because the information belongs in so many different places. Okay, but what you're looking at, what they're in the process of doing, is figuring out how to build another planet that they can colonize. But it's not exactly colonize. It's kind of like going, hey, I got an idea. Let's build a house. And then we got a place to live. That's what the betas are doing. Or what the ratas are. No. That's what the datas are doing. Is they are building a planet that doesn't have all the volatile wildlife. Okay, they're hoping that that will help. Now, there's a number of different places you can go. Okay, and the Zetas have managed to get to a lot of them. Of course, you got to remember, the Zetas are the scientists. They're not the explorers, which does explain that. Now that's got to be the weirdest image I've been shown in a long time. Poetically mistaken is going a center for operations. Essentially, you could call it that. Yes, they won't be leaving their homeworld behind. But this is one of those things that has to happen. Now, the neat part about all of this is it is coming into balance. Would you look at that? Are we really at that point? We are. Now, whoa, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Now, here's the neat thing. Okay, this information is going to be available as soon as I can get it there. Critical priority at this point is getting the two books that are on the headline of my endeavors right now. Is literally the Elder Boxing Chronicles, okay, book 12, the third one in the series called Return to Paradise. That is one. The other one is the second edition of Races of the Worlds. Okay, now I was looking at it earlier today, and I've got about a third of it already completely expanded. Okay, I've now got all the pictures in place. Now it's time to really push and rack it off. Okay, not going to give you a release date. I've done that way too many times. But I can tell you my head's finally working. Now, with all this in mind, we are getting down to the bottom end here. Now, next Sunday, I don't know which race yet. If you guys have a request, get it to me and I will pick out whichever comes up. Okay. And again, it really boils down to Sundays from here on out. I will be going into the various different races. Okay. And that's just the way that's going to go. But tomorrow, thank you very much there, LA. Tomorrow, when we come back, where am I here? Brain is working like an absolute sieve. Go to there and okay. Now, tomorrow is Monday. Tomorrow at 9 p.m. PST, we are going to be looking into literally changing your life immediately upon that point. We're going to look at how to handle your money as it comes into your house. Okay? And it literally starts the moment you start doing it. It's not, it'll take you a month to figure it out. Okay, but we're dealing with that tomorrow. And then on Tuesday, we are looking at the difference between the necessity between savings and debt repayment. And we'll cover that on Tuesday. Again, and you'll love this part. Well, I hope you'll love this part. Many of these techniques are going to be included in the free magazine Positive Perspectives. And it's going, we've already got, April came out, May I'm closing in on getting finished. Okay, with this in mind, we're down to the final end here. So I do want to say thank you so very much for sharing your time with us tonight. Really appreciate it. We will be back again tomorrow. But until then, take care of yourselves and each other. And for